Back on the B-Bender. Okay, so I said this guitar has some great stories. I want to share some of those stories with you. So the first great story is me learning how to play the thing. If you are a guitar player and this is your first time hearing about B-Benders, what it is a mechanism that they put into the guitar that when you pull on the strap, it pulls this series of levers, which essentially takes the B string up a whole tone. So it's like this. So you do that with your hand. Or you can throw your shoulder if you want. Some guys just put it on the ball of their shoulder. Do like that. This is a short throw bender, so it's not real hard to get it up there. And the more you play, you can even do half step bends. So that's kind of cool too. But that's essentially what a B bender is. And if you hear the term G bender, it's the same thing. It's just on the G string. And I did that behind the note. But it would be on a pull. And I have a G bender as well. But this is the B bender. So this is the first Bender guitar I got. There's some like well-known songs that use benders. Meet in the Middle uses it. Steve Wariner. So a lot of guys use them. They're really good for, extending a chord if you can't get a finger to the B string to bend it. So obviously, you don't need a bender to do things like. But where they come in handy is what if you want to do something like a chord that's taking a big stretch and then you can't get a finger to the B string to bend it. So like. So they're really good at that. They're good for cross bends when you come behind the nut here. So you start with that bent. They make really cool sounds. So stuff like that. Cool for pre-bends. You can go. So cool stuff like that. That doesn't come immediately. And when you first get one, especially I'm a kind of a high energy performer, pretty high strung guy, move around a lot. I'm not a standstill kind of guitar player. So, the first thing you notice is that could happen. So, and then if you aren't used, if you rest the weight of your arm, a lot of guitar players do this without even knowing they're doing it. They use their thumb. I call this a hook action. So they're kind of hooking their thumb on the guitar and don't realize that they're resting the weight of this arm on their shoulder using the guitar. And if you do that with a B bender, of course, like there's a G chord. If I'm resting the weight of this guitar is in tune, believe it or not. But if I rest the weight of my arms, just lazy, loose arms, that B string goes north on you. So, and the tuning goes south. But anyway, so learning that was a curveball. And remember, I'm 19 when I bought this and started the B-Bender journey. I started playing guitar when I was like 8. So, I'm a decade or more into it. and already have some bad habits. Resting the weight of my arm against the guitar being one of them. And so when I get a B-bender, ooh, it just it was impossible for me to play this guitar standing up, essentially, is what happened. And I remember the first night I had it, I was playing with a kind of a country rock band called the Casey Donahue Band, and that music wasn't really lent, very few of that band's songs were built around country style guitar. It was more of a Americana rock thing. And so the B-bender wasn't really necessary for it. It was just something I wanted and to learn to incorporate. So when I took this guitar out and played it the first couple of times, that would happen. I just wasn't used to how you have to hold the guitar. And I can remember we had in-ear monitors, and the bass player was a guy named Steve Stone, really funny guy. And I'd be playing this guitar and that B string would be going all over the place, and he'd be on the talkback mic just yelling, "Stay with it, Tony, stay with it." So yeah, learning to use the guitar was properly was fun. Anyway, so that's one great story, and there were several nights of blunders with it and all that. Another great story with this guitar was in my time in Nashville. Now at this point, we're talking 2014 or 15. So it's almost a decade later. At this point, I'm used to playing the guitar, pretty comfortable with it. Been through a set of frets, pickup changes and things like that. Added the middle pickup. I mean, it didn't have this middle pickup when I first got it. It was just a 1999 Telecaster. Now it's been through different pickups, and this is the third set of frets it's had on it. So, a lot of stuff like that. But I was very comfortable with this guitar by this point in time, 2014 or 15. I don't remember the specific year, but I was playing with a guy in Nashville who was like a pretty popular local guy with the bar scene there in Nashville, the honky tonks downtown, and some of the building owners. And so he would do a lot of these private events for these people that own these places. And one of them was this reception where his band was going to be the backing band for a bunch of like celebrities that were part of this event. And they were going to get up and play a handful of songs, like 2 or 3 songs each, which was a really cool night for me because I got to play guitar behind a lot of cool people that night. I mean, I don't remember who all exactly was on it, but most notably was Rascal Flatts, Gary Allen, and forget, there was one other one I was really pumped to play with. And then the big one that's part of the story of this guitar was Rick Springfield. So Rick Springfield, I've been a guitar and, I'm a half rock fan, half country fan. So Rick Springfield sang Jesse's Girl. He was the artist that did that. And Don't Talk to Strangers and You Gotta Love Somebody and all this stuff. I mean, he's more than a one-hit wonder by a long shot. But Jesse's Girl would be the one everybody recognizes for sure. So I was pumped because I was going to finally get to play that song with Rick, with the guy. It was going to be a great opportunity for me, right? Well, the night rolls around and he comes up to the stage and he motions me toward him. He goes, "Hey man, can I play your guitar? I don't get to play, lead guitar all the time on these shows, but I love to play. And, since this is just like a, informal thing, we're just getting up and jamming. I think it'd be awesome to get to play. Do you mind if I play?" I mean, he was so gracious and nice. And I was like, I was the only electric guitar player in the band. So half of me was like, absolutely, please play my guitar, please. The other half of me was like, man, I'm not going to get to play with him. And so that was kind of bumming me out, but I was like, dude, sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't even think to tell him about the B-Bender. At this point in Nashville, you saw more B-Benders than you didn't. So I didn't even think about it. I hand him the guitar. He's like, where's your distortion pedal? You know, all that stuff. Turn it, get him a toned out of him. He gets going, you know. He gets going on it. So he starts ripping into Jesse's Girl. And we're all good at the intro because there's no B strings in the, you know, beginning of that song. But then he gets to this part where he goes, of course, he doesn't know it's a B-Bender. Like I told you, all these guitar players that hook their thumb. So he does something that sounds very similar to... And he starts looking over at me with this look on his face of... it was like panic meets pissed. I will never forget his expression as he banged out Jesse's Girl on this guitar with that B string going, you know, every which way. And then he's noticing like it feels like springy, and he's like reaching for the strap. And I mean, just this guy's lost. And when he gets to the solo, I can't even remember exactly what he did, but he started looking for other places to play because he was starting to realize like the B string was not his friend. And I mean, he's over here trying to, you know, tune it, and he just went discombobulated and survived the song, and, you know, quickly motions me back up to the stage. That was the first song he played of his little set of 3 songs or whatever. And he handed me the guitar back, and, you know, they won't let me use the language he used on this app, but he's basically like, what the is wrong with your guitar? And I went, oh man, I forgot to tell you, that's a B-Bender. And he goes, what do you mean? What are you saying? And I said, it's got a B-Bender in it, you know, so when you pull on it, it makes the B string go up a half or a whole step. And he just went, why? And I was telling, well, it's for like country licks, you know. It was basically like think of like a Floyd Rose that you would pull to get a whole step of all 6 strings. It just does 1 string. And he goes, again, why? And so then I show him, you know, all these chords that you can do it. And then I just remember going, man, you Nashville guys are messed up in the head. And he goes, do you know my other songs? I was like, I've got them worked up. Yeah, I can play. He's like, please. He was less than thrilled with this Telecaster for sure. But anyway, it was pretty funny to see him in a just sheer panic. Rick Springfield trying to play Jesse's Girl on a B-Bender, not knowing what that is, you know. It was pretty funny. He was awesome, by the way. He's still awesome. So I'd love for him to play this again and have some time to sit down with it, you know, because I know that he's got to know some Jimmy Page licks and all that. So to do them on a B-Bender, you know, he might have a different opinion of it if it's not in the heat of battle with all these people staring at you while you're butchering your best song ever. You know? So anyway, that was funny. Another great story with this guitar was when I got to play with Vince Gill some. We did a rehearsal for the show we were going to play, and he's such a gracious guy as well. And one of the cool things that we got to do was bring our, you know, stuff and play with his band. And so I had my amp and pedals and this guitar with me and all that. And we're set up to play, and he's got his 53 Tele, and I think he had like a couple of old Strats and even a Burst, a real, you know, 58 or 59 Gibson Burst Les Paul. So, and he's just passing them around like, here, play my guitar through your stuff there, plug it into your amp and check it out. And he's telling me about how he runs his Tele and how he likes the neck on it and all this. And we're back and forth, and mine's on a stand sitting there. He goes, what's the deal with yours? And I kind of tell him a little bit about it. I hand it to him. I said, here, play it through your stuff, and he plugs it into his, little Walter amp set up there, and he was sitting in a chair like I'm sitting now, just kind of plopped into this chair, and I hand him this guitar, and he literally acted like I put a pickup truck on him. He was like, it is not light, by the way. This guitar weighs, I think it's south of 10 pounds, but just barely. So, his 53 Tele probably weighs 7 pounds, if that. It may not even weigh that, six and a half. I don't know. It's not a heavy guitar at all. But this one is. So I handed this to him, and he's like, oh, man, it's like a cinder block. And then he played 2 or 3 notes on it, and he pulled on the B bender. Kind of did the same thing. He kind of went, kind of like, and then that was it. He was like, yeah, it's not for me. And he just sat there holding it. And I have a picture of him somewhere, him just holding this guitar, looking at it like, what? Why? And of course, I'm playing his 53, and I'm in this picture playing his guitar and just like in heaven, playing maybe one of the most impactful Telecasters in all of country music. And he's over there holding my old, B bender. But anyway, that was a cool memory with this guitar as well. There's just so many great memories that I have with this guitar. Every time I pick up this guitar and play it or hold it or look at it, it's like a treasure trove of great times and good memories and shows that I've played with it. And just about any recording I've done, I've had this guitar with me and played on the project. And so, it's a very important guitar to me, and it will remain. This is definitely my favorite one that I have, but the old accidental B bender.